Why, hello there! Today I wanted to make a video about some of my favorite things about living in Japan. Of course, there are an absolute ton of amazing things about living here, but I wanted to share some of them today because I think it's really important not to take for granted the things that you love about living in a place. And I just wanted to share some happy thoughts with you. So I think I'm going to do 5 today and then we'll leave it at that, but I might make another video like this in the future. So let's get started. Number 1 was super easy for me, and that is safety. It is ridiculously safe here, and in fact, I've never once felt unsafe in Japan. Crime rates for things like theft are just incredibly low, and it really doesn't happen here. Once my friend left her smartphone in a public train station bathroom, and we didn't realize and couldn't get back to the station until about 3 hours later, and we were both just like, there's no way, it's definitely gone. But someone had handed it in to the station's lost and found. And this isn't unusual here, this happens a lot. And for smaller things as well, like for example hats and scarves and umbrellas, especially if you leave it in a public place, people will hang it up on a tree or a fence or a wall or something, so that if you come back you'll see it and be able to find it. And it's just really amazing. It's going to be really difficult for me to get used to any other country's level of safety after this. And in fact, I was in America over New Year, and people had to keep reminding me not to leave my phone in like my shopping cart or on a restaurant table and walk away because that's kind of risky. But here it's just not. It's really remarkable. Of course, that's not to say that you should be reckless or take risks with your own safety, but it is really nice not to have to constantly think about that kind of thing. So yeah, my number 1 is safety. Number 2 for me is public transport, and oh my goodness, Japanese public transport is an absolute dream. It's fast, it's reliable, and it's relatively inexpensive. Because most people here use public transport at least semi-regularly, if not as their main means of transportation every day, it's very well looked after, and so the trains and buses are almost always clean and almost always on time. There are a ton of different lines that can take you pretty much anywhere that you would want to go in Japan. That includes the buses, regular trains, subways, and of course the Shinkansen or the bullet train. You can also get a little travel card like the Ikoka or Pitapa, which you can just tag on and tag off, and it's the easiest thing in the world. Station names are also written in kanji, hiragana, and romaji as well, so even if you don't read Japanese very well, you can still navigate relatively well using English alone, which is super helpful. So yeah, I could honestly sing the praises of Japanese public transport all day, but then I would be talking about trains for the rest of this video, and that's not super interesting, so let's move on. Number 3 is kind people. And that's not to say that people in other countries aren't kind. It's just that in my personal experience, people in Japan tend to go above and beyond anything I could ever expect in terms of kindness and helpfulness. This goes for everyone. This goes for my coworkers, my Japanese friends, shopkeepers, random people in the street, just everyone. There have been so many times when I've been looking at a timetable or a map and someone's come over and asked if they could help me and done their best to help me out, and that always really surprises me. Sometimes people even go further than that. There was one really kind man who took me and my friend to the shop that we were looking for, even though it was a 10-minute walk from the train station and he had to catch a train from that train station. My favorite thing about this one is that it turns into kind of a pay it forward system, and it really makes you want to be a better and more helpful person because you know how much other people have helped you and you want to give a little bit of that back. I really love that things work like this, and it's something that I really hope to take with me when I leave. Number 4 is kind of related to number 3, and number 4 is the general sense of community here. I can't speak for everywhere, but I know that in my little local area, the sense of community is really important. So, for example, I will say good morning to people who live in my apartment building on my way to work, and good evening when I come home, and sometimes my landlord's wife will pop her head out if she sees me come home from work, and she'll be like, "Welcome home!" And I think that's really nice. It's something that I hadn't really experienced before moving here, and I really like it. My apartment, I'm not sure if all apartments do this, but my apartment also organizes apartment events sometimes, so they'll invite everyone who lives here to bowling or something like that, and I think that's a really nice way to get to know people too. On a broader scale, if your apartment doesn't do that, your town will almost certainly have a bulletin board with local upcoming events on it, and that's a really great way to get involved in the community too. There are a couple of other things that are slightly more specific, but that I think really illustrate how community works here. So, for example, one of my senior high schools that I teach at will have a day of the month where they will clean up the town that I live in. And that's just how it works because they're the high school for this town. And so, one day a month, they will come out and clean up the town. And I think that's an amazing way to instill that community value in children younger so that they can keep it when they're growing up. The other thing that I wanted to mention was you've probably seen those articles that are like, Japanese schoolboy is like 4 years old and he goes to school by himself. And that's true. Usually, elementary school students go to school in a group. So there'll be a bunch of younger students and then one or two older students to be the leaders. But also, retired people can volunteer to stand along the route that they take to school and help them across the busier intersections and things like that. And while they're doing that, they'll have like a talk. They'll be like, "Good morning, how's your day?" etc., etc. And I just think that's such a great way to keep people involved and to keep people talking and meeting new people and have people out there. I don't know. I just think that it's really interesting, and like I said, it's something that I hadn't experienced before moving here, and it's definitely something that I love. So 4 is the sense of community. And finally, 5. 5 is that there's always something to do here. Whether it's a festival or a fireworks show or a live concert, there's always, always, always something to do. I think that even if you were here for 5 years and you wanted to do something on every single day, you wouldn't have a problem doing that. Sometimes it can be a little overwhelming because there's just so many things that I want to do. But in general, I'm just so happy. I've had so many amazing experiences here that I couldn't have had anywhere else. And I can't wait to have more. I just can't wait. When I think about the things that I want to do and the plans that I have, I just get so excited. So, number 5, and my final one for this list, is that there's always something to do in Japan. That's about it for this video. If you live here and there's things that you love about Japan that I missed off this list, please let me know. I'd love to hear them. And if you live anywhere else and there's things that you love about your country, I would love to hear those too. So please let me know if you want to. Apart from that, thank you very much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!